Yeah, there's some in the green thing.
There's some right there.
Oh yeah, grab those. There's 80 right there. Yeah. Okay, I believe this is number
7.
3?
7. Why do you have number 7 up there?
It's the other one. Oh, that's off, I think. No, it's because I started over. I believe this is number 3. Did I give you the key already?
Yeah, it's just these 2 turns on.
Okay.
Listen up. Okay, as I look at number 3, this is number 3, so we are factoring again. Factoring means to write it as multiplication. Okay, so we are going to take a trinomial, so today's going to look a little different. We're going to take a trinomial, 3 terms, and we are going to split it up so that it is written as something times something. Okay, now today we are looking at polynomials that have a 1 in front. So as I look at x squared plus bx plus c, we are looking at polynomials that do not have any number in front, which means there is a 1 there. So if there is no number in front of x squared, we assume there's a 1 there, like we have done last unit, and it's going to be a lot easier to factor. So trinomials that have a 1 in front are a lot easier to factor than if they have a number in front of x squared, and we'll deal with those next week. Okay? Stop messing with the light, please. Okay, so to factor a trinomial of the form above, so it has a 1 in front of the x squared, you need to find 2 integers that multiply to get c. C is the last number, so you can put last number underneath there. So you need to find 2 numbers that multiply to get the last number, and add to give you b, which is the middle number. So we need to find 2 numbers that multiply to get the last number, which is c in this case, and add to get the middle number, which is b.
So wait, all we're doing is just what we did last week, and we're just adding integers in the front?
No, it's going to be a little different. Okay, so directions: factor, write it as multiplication. Factor the following trinomials. Check your answers by foiling. So you can always check them by distributing or foiling. I'm not going to make you do it on the homework, but you can always multiply through and check them. Okay, so let's look at number 1. Now, here is the shortcut. It is a trinomial. There is a 1 in front. So the shortcut you can start with these is you can start with 2 parentheses and put x's in front. So if you have a trinomial with a 1 in front, then you can use the shortcut. He's not in my class.
Who? Daryl?
Me?
Hey, I don't know your name. He's not in my class. He's never been, sorry. I didn't mean to be off you. I didn't know your name.
Like, who even is this guy?
I have no idea. Sorry. Okay, so this is the shortcut you can start with. If it's a trinomial with no number in front, I can start with 2 parentheses and put x's in front. Now, I need to figure out what numbers to go along with them. So I need to find 2 numbers that multiply to give me 12 and add to give me 7. So what are 2 numbers
3 and 4
that multiply to give me 12? Well, if you need to list them, you can always list them. I'm not going to force you. Let me just do a couple of this with you. Okay. What are some things that multiply to give you 12? 3 and 4. What else multiply? 6 and 2.
And 1 and 12.
1 and 12. Okay. Now, they're both positive numbers. It's a positive 7 and a positive 12. Since they're both positive, I know both my numbers are positive. And I need to find 2 numbers that multiply to give me 12. So which of these?
3 and 2.
3 and 2.
3 and 4, yeah. Which of these 3 cases add to give me 7? Positive 3, positive 4. So it's plus 3, it's plus 4. Is this factored? Yes, because it's written as multiplication.
So this is
That's your
This
answer.
is the answer right here.
Yes.
Bro. So So number 2 is going to be n.
No, it's going to get harder.
Number
Bro,
2
it's
Would be
6.
plus.
I'm just kidding. 5 and 4.
Okay, let's look at another one. Let's look at one like 7. If I look at one like 7, okay, I have a trinomial with a number with a 1 in front. So there's no number there, but we assume it's a 1. So we can start with our shortcut. 2 parentheses. What's going to go in front?
N.
N and N. Now be careful with the negative. It's a positive 3 and a negative 18. So think about this first.
One of them's going to be negative. One of them's going to be positive.
Just a second. I need 2 numbers that multiply to give me a negative 18. Negative 6, positive 3. If they multiply to give me a negative, I know that one of them has to be negative. You're going to have one positive, one negative to give you a negative 18. Now think about this. I have to add to get a positive 3. So which number will have to be positive if I add to get a positive 3? The bigger number. So if you multiply to get a negative, they have to be different signs. But if I add to get the positive, the bigger number has to be positive. So it's going to be positive 6 and negative 3. They multiply to give you negative 18, but they add to give you positive 3. So check your negatives.
Alright, this is easy. Give me the homework.
Just a second. We're going to do a couple more.
So basically,
Okay.
the middle number you might add and subtract, so the final number you multiply.
Doesn't matter what order you put them in.
That's basically what we're
You multiply to get the last number, add to get the middle.
Wait, I have a
Yes,
question.
yes.
I have a question.
Okay. Took me a while to digest it.
You said we're not putting the number first until next week.
Yes.
So why is there numbers?
I'll get to that. Just give me a second. So if I look at 15, guys, listen up. If I look at 15, it's a trinomial, 3 terms. There is no number in front. We assume it's a 1. So there's really a 1 in front of the b squared. So start with your shortcut. B and B.
B. Oh, we're on 15.
Okay, well on 15. Now, I need 2 numbers that multiply to give me negative 63. 2 numbers that multiply to give me a negative. So one's negative and one's
And
positive.
then the smaller numbers.
However, they have to add to give me a negative 2. If they have to add to give me a negative 2, the bigger number is going to be what? Negative. Okay, so catch that. They have to multiply to give me a negative number, but a bigger number has to add to give me a negative 2. So the bigger number is negative. So start thinking of some things that multiply to give me negative 63. 9 and
7 and 9.
okay. Now the 9 has to be negative because I have to add to get a negative 2. So the bigger number has to be negative. The 9 has to be negative because I have to add to get a negative 2. So the bigger number is negative. So it's b minus 9 and b plus 7. Now you could also have b plus 7, b minus 9. The order doesn't matter. And that's your answer. And let me look at...
What about number 6 for them?
I'm trying to find one. I don't see one. Like 6. 6 is kind of tricky.
6 is kind of tricky.
We'll look at 6 real quick. If I look at 6, actually, I want to do one on the back. Let's look at 23. 23. Okay. If I look at 23, listen up. 23. 2 numbers. Okay. I have a trinomial. I have a 1 in front of the y squared. So start with the shortcut. 2 parentheses. What goes in front? Y. So when you have a 1 in front, you can start, listen up. When I have a 1 in front, I'm doing 23. And then I switched it and said 23 about 3 times.
Gotta listen, man.
Okay, so y is in front. We have 2 parentheses. I need to find 2 numbers that multiply to give me a positive 72 and add to give me negative 17. Now, if they have to multiply to get a positive, I know that the sign of my numbers have to be
Negative.
no.
Positive.
If they have to multiply to get me a positive number, my signs have to be both positive or both negative. So, let me explain. Stop interrupting me, please. I know you're answering, but let me kind of explain.
Yeah, so why are you asking questions?
Well, I know, but you're talking over me as I try to explain this.
We're just answering the questions.
Okay, so I have two numbers that need to multiply to get me a positive number. So they're either going to be both negative or they're going to be both positive. Now, they're both negative because I have to add to get a negative 17. So there's no way you can add two positive numbers to get a negative. So they're both going to be negative. So what are two negative numbers that multiply to give me 72? Negative 9 and negative 8. And they also add to give me negative 17. So my two answers are y minus 8 and y minus 9.
Minus, you put y minus 9, y minus 8.
No, you can switch the order. And then let's look at one like 27. Okay. Now, 27 is weird because I have x squared and y squared. All you do, again, you have a 1 in front of x squared. So we can start with my two parentheses. We can start with x's in front. Use common sense. I also notice I have a y squared at the end. So what am I going to put at the end of the parentheses? Y's. Okay? So the only thing you're going to do different, since I have an x squared at the beginning, a y squared at the end, you put the x's in front of the parentheses, and you put the y's at the end of the parentheses. And then you do the same process. What are two numbers that multiply to give me a positive 42
7 and 6.
and add to give me a positive 13?
Positive 7 and
Positive 7, so you put plus 7y and then plus 6y.
Yep.
So if you have a variable squared at the end, you just put the variable at the end and just put the numbers in front of
Can you do
it.
number 6 for us real quick?
Yeah, can we do number 6? Because I'm tripping out.
With the
about
1 on it.
the
Well,
1 and 2.
what are two numbers? We'll look at 6 real quick. If I look at 6, again, there's a 1 in front of y squared, so we can do two parentheses with y's in front.
Doesn't it have to be? It's got to be tripping out.
It's a trinomial.
A 2 and a 1.
I need two numbers that multiply to give me 1 and add to give me 2. What are the only two numbers that multiply to give me 1? 1 and 1.
You're 1 and 1, yeah.
Now, listen up. Listen up. Now I'll let someone spin the wheel if they can answer this. How else can I rewrite this? Yes,
Y
Zach?
plus 1, y minus 1.
Yes? You gonna answer?
Y plus 1, y plus 1.
No, that's the exact same thing. Yes.
Y plus 1 squared.
Yes. Angel got it. Y plus 1 squared, because multiplying by itself is the same as squaring it. You don't have to do that, but you can. Okay. So we'll do the second part in a little bit, but I want to give you some time to start the homework. Okay? I'm going to split it up in two parts today. Okay. So let me pass out the homework.